Chronic metabolic fatigue represents a measurable biological failure to sustain cellular fuel. At its root, this is an interruption in the synthesis of ATP. The human body relies on continuous ATP production at this microscopic level to maintain every physiological function. Common cultural responses to lethargy involve flooding the system with temporary stimulants, using caffeine or processed sugars to force a state of alertness. These compounds mask the symptoms of exhaustion, while frequently degrading the biological mechanisms responsible for natural energy production. Consistent vitality requires a steady, reliable supply of cellular fuel that functions independently of exogenous spikes. This vitality functions as an objective, measurable state of metabolic equilibrium. Maintaining this equilibrium under modern environmental stress requires the precise management of 4 distinct biological pillars. These pillars represent the biological requirements for an optimized ATP engine. Engineering your physiology around these 4 pillars provides the structural framework necessary to restore cognitive clarity and physical stamina. The first pillar is the glycemic foundation. Every unit of cellular energy begins with the specific glycemic load introduced into the system. Consuming refined carbohydrates initiates a destructive biological sequence. This dashboard tracks blood glucose over time. Refined intake triggers an erratic upward spike, followed by a violent insulin response and cellular energy crash that limits metabolic flexibility. Complex carbohydrates instead provide a smooth, consistent release within an optimal threshold. This stabilized release prevents the rapid depletion of the body's energy reserves. We can further refine this through chrononutrition, aligning nutrient intake with the body's natural circadian and metabolic cycles. Applying chrononutrition promotes predictable energy levels and helps mitigate the cravings for processed sugars that drive metabolic instability. Neglecting this glycemic foundation creates a systemic imbalance that limits the efficacy of other metabolic interventions. Managing fuel is only the first step. We must also address the endocrine system that governs how that fuel is processed and repaired. Sleep restoration and stress management function together as the primary regulators of this hormonal environment. Chronic psychological stress leads to the sustained elevation of cortisol. This visualization shows the consequence of that elevation. As cortisol levels rise on the left, we see a corresponding drop in glucose metabolism efficiency on the right. Sustaining this state places an exhaustive strain on adrenal support systems, contributing to long-term metabolic fatigue. Sleep deprivation compounds this by disrupting the ghrelin axis. An unbalanced ghrelin axis creates biochemical pressure to consume processed sugars, undermining glycemic stability. Deep, restorative sleep provides the window for cellular clearance and the active repair of mitochondrial structures. This recovery phase acts as a metabolic shield against cognitive fog. Clinical essentials, including mindfulness and nature exposure, are tools used to actively downregulate these stress pathways. Without rigorous endocrine regulation, the body's metabolic infrastructure lacks the environment necessary for sustained energy. The fourth pillar is defined by a paradox. Physical exertion is the mechanism required to generate higher levels of systemic energy. Physical activity serves as a biological stressor. It forces mitochondrial networks to adapt and multiply into more efficient clusters. A significant portion of this adaptation comes through NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Low-level, consistent movement throughout the day maintains the baseline efficiency of the cellular engine. Deliberate cardiovascular activity builds on this baseline, increasing the body's peak ATP production capacity. Combining NEAT with focused exercise trains cells to function as highly efficient metabolic processors. These cellular adaptations ensure that fuel is processed more effectively, even when the body is at rest. Because a sedentary state leads to the degradation of energy capacity, calculated movement is a requirement for lasting vitality. Metabolic vitality is the result of the simultaneous optimization of glycemic load, endocrine recovery, and mitochondrial output. The gut microbiome serves as a critical link between these systems. Its health is tied directly to efficient energy production. Research indicates that a healthy microbiome supports the metabolic pathways necessary for systemic energy. The Slenderiiz system is designed to support these pathways by providing nutritional tools that align with these biological pillars. By focusing on balanced nutrition and glycemic control, the system assists in maintaining the metabolic equilibrium we have mapped out. This support helps manage cravings and provides the stable energy needed to sustain an active lifestyle. Addressing these root biological causes is the first step toward moving past chronic fatigue. Explore the link in the description to see how the Slenderiiz system can help you restore and maintain your metabolic vitality.